Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Julie. I do everything from book reviews to tarot and pretty much everything in between. We talk poetry, pancakes, and puppies. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the engagement stuff out of the way, because today I'm super excited to talk about this book that I just read. Today, just in time for the upcoming Halloween season, we're going to be talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Ernshaw. Now, this book was actually published by Disney Press. Yes, they have a publishing company. It's an imprint of Buena Vista Books. So, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen is actually canonical to the, I guess you could say, Nightmare Before Christmas cinematic universe. Say that 5 times fast. And I don't know if they're going to turn it into a movie. The book just came out in July of this year. But I honestly hope that they do, because boy, was this one worth the read. This book takes place about a year after the events of the original Nightmare Before Christmas movie, this time set about 2 weeks before Halloween. I'm not going to say, you know what, actually I am going to say, I'm going to say that you should watch the movie before reading the book, because there are certain concepts and references that are not going to make sense if you have not, seen the movie first. This book does a good job of fleshing out the world that already exists, but foundationally, some of it's not going to make sense. We are reintroduced to the members of Halloween Town, the citizens of Halloween Town, and the concept of every holiday having their own town in this mythical world. But I think you will have a much richer experience being able to visualize these characters as they play out in the book. For example, so let's start with the beginnings of the plot. In the prologue of the book, so at the very beginning, we see our favorite Pumpkin King and skeleton, Jack Skellington, marry his love interest from the movie, Sally. And we see how Sally the Ragdoll is kind of thrust into this new light of Queen of Halloween Town, when previously in the movie she was known to be, this outcast that no one listened to. She was subject to the servitude of a mad scientist, and now she went from kind of being a relative nobody who enjoyed quiet and solitude to being in a very public spotlight. And the whole book is kind of how she finds herself, both internally and within that role. But to go back to what I was saying before, in the very beginning, it's kind of cute. The residents of Halloween Town are kind of clamoring to see their new queen, and the clown with the tearaway face, who you might know from the beginning intro of the movie, functions as kind of a paparazzo trying to take her picture.
I am the clown with the tearaway face!
Here in a flash and follow the trace!
And if you haven't seen the movie, then you wouldn't understand those references, yes, but also I think you'd fundamentally be missing a piece of Sally's character and her growth throughout that movie. It's kind of explained to you, but I think it would be a much more fleshed out experience if you were to have both in your repertoire, so to speak. But yes, back to the plot. So now Sally is Queen of Halloween Town, and this is a very big source of anxiety for her. She has to now find herself in this role when she was used to being very introverted, and she's not sure she's up to the task. But when a mysterious threat befalls Halloween Town, she'll learn to kind of find herself and see if she really has the courage and strength of what it takes to, rule this town of hers. And we also see that not only Halloween Town, but the other holiday towns are under threat. All that being said, this book is from Sally's point of view, and if you're looking for a more Jack Skellington-centered story like the last one, I would say that this book might not be for you. Jack is in the book, especially in the beginning, but he functions more as okay, so let me get into this real quick. The romance scenes between these two, obviously, I think it's a book aimed primarily at children, so it's nothing graphic. But there were some kissing scenes in there that got a little steamy, and I was like, am I gonna have to change the whole tone of this review? And I think his primary function, he does have some dialogue, and he is encouraging to Sally, but I think his primary function is kind of a little bit fan fiction-y, if I can say, for some of our more adult crowd. Most of Jack's scenes with Sally involve him kissing her in some way. I'm not even necessarily complaining, I'm just letting you guys know. But anyway, I got sidetracked. Back to the plot. So yes, one thing I really enjoyed about this book is, as I said before, the other holiday towns are under threat as well. Not entirely dissimilar to the original movie where Christmas was under threat by the loss of Santa. But really, all of the holidays are affected by this mysterious threat. I'm not even gonna give it a name or give you guys a hint as to what it is, because I think it's really fun to read it and know it yourself. If you guys want a spoiler review, let me know in the comments. But anyway, so we get to see a lot of these worlds in great detail. One of my favorites was Valentine's Day Town, and its focus on cupids running free in the air and couples, you know, canoodling in coffee shops and all very cutesy sugar heart stuff. I thought that was very nice. And also St. Patrick's Day Town was really cute with its imagery of rainbows everywhere and townsfolk in miniature living in mud huts. So it's like there was a lot of creativity put into these worlds that we didn't get to explore in the movie, and that was one of the, I think, highlights of the book for me. I thought the imagery used to describe not only the worlds, but, you know, Sally's inner thoughts, and the descriptive language in here was definitely something to marvel at. I mean, there were definitely times when the descriptive language was almost a detriment, like especially in the dialogue. There's one scene that sticks out in my mind in particular where Sally's talking to a character, and the character says to Sally, "Oh, I remember when you used to run through the rain-wet soil." And I'm like, is this how a person talks? You know, I know that the intent was to be as descriptive as possible to create the image, but it's like, sometimes that feels like it's at sacrifice to realistic thoughts and dialogue sometimes. But my gripes are relatively minor, I think. Editing Julie here. So one thing I forgot to mention that I thought was kind of strange was toward the end of the book, Sally gets to visit Queen Elizabeth in the human realm while she's searching for an answer to her problem. And the whole passage, this is before she even passed, keep in mind, is kind of a love letter to Queen Elizabeth. And I'm not even saying that as a complaint, it just felt kind of weird and out of place with the pacing of the book. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it. In the acknowledgement section, Earnshaw says that she thanks Tim Burton for really creating a world that she fell into. And you can tell that that's kind of what happened here. It feels really immerses you in this world that she's built upon from the original work, and it's very lovingly made. And there's a lot more here than your classic hero's journey, I'd say. There is a massive, massive, massive twist around the middle of the book that relates to Sally's upbringing, I'll say, that really recontextualizes how you view the movie and the book too. It recontextualizes the whole art piece, and it was just immensely fascinating to read, and it really keeps you hooked. And there are times when you think Sally has done something to figure out the threat that faces her, and her solutions don't always work, which I think is refreshing, especially, you know, in today's like modern hero's journey stories, modern, you know, Marvel, let's say, where the characters are infallible and they're always good at everything, and really it's just watching them be great at everything. No, Sally messes up, and she messes up big time, a lot of times, and it was refreshing to see, you know, a fallible character grow from her mistakes and learn and gain knowledge and seek help. I think that's something that we sorely miss from a lot of media today. Oddly enough, I think a lot of my thoughts that I have toward this book are very similar to the ones that I had when I read Coraline. Like, yes, is the primary audience likely children? Yes. But there is so much for adults to gain out of this experience, gain out of reading this book, and I mean, not only for nostalgia purposes, but also just for pure enjoyment of it. I think people of all ages can read this and come away with it having learned something different or gained something valuable from it. And I think that's, you know, something that is a mark of good children's media, good media in general, actually. Let's not even put the children's marker on it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and that's kind of why I'm going spoiler free right now. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. and I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, if you read it, if you want to read it, if you want a spoiler review. I think our next one is going to be A Picture of Dorian Gray. That book was gifted to me by some friends, but I am going to be opening up Patreon reader polls if you want to vote on the book that we read after that. I do want to get a discussion going on Patreon as to, you know, what you guys would like to see on the channel, because I do this for you guys and for my YouTube subscribers and really anyone who watches, so I love to know your feedback regardless, wherever you give it. And follow me on the socials that will be linked in a pinned comment and in the description. And have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.